How you doing, guys? Big Matt School here again today, back once again with another episode of my Conquest series for you. Today we're going to be taking a look through the pages of issue 66. Before we get started though, I just want to remind you to check out the Hobby Corner where you can catch up with more painting tips. The painting stuff I've been doing on my channel, showcases, I've decided to put them on hold for the time being because those videos don't get many views. And it's dragging the, I think it's dragging the recommendations down for these videos. So then it's leading to these videos getting fewer views. So yeah, I'm just going to push ahead with these videos for the time being, and I think I'm going to do a showcase video sort of bundled into like a mini battle report thing for the missions we get in the magazines. Probably at some point in the new year I'll be starting that up. So there's been no Monday videos for a little while now. The next one that was due to come was some more Plague Marines, which I've already seen some Plague Marines. But I might do a little video comparing the two techniques, because I did promise I'd say the traditional painting method and the contrast painting method, I said I'd compare them to, and also the other Plague Marines I've converted. But anyway, you know, back to the video at hand. So Conquest issue 66. What do we get with the magazine? We get a Plague Marine icon bearer, which on Games Workshop's website is $17.50. Now, $17.50, $7.99 for the magazine. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's a great value issue. It's like £9.50, something like that you save in £9.49. Yeah, so it's pretty much, or £9.51 rather. It's pretty much a no-brainer to buy the magazine if you see it on the shelf and you need a Plague Marine icon bearer. But yeah, like it's a nice miniature as well. I'm tempted to try and convert the icon somehow myself, but there's no need to really. I'm only ever going to have one in the force that I build up. Onto the first page. Oh no, we don't go straight to the first page. I've forgotten how I do these videos now. So on the front cover it says Plague Marine icon bearer, and then discover the Black Templars and Craftworld Eldar. Onto the first page now. We get Space Marines, Black Templars. So Black Templars are a successor chapter of the Imperial Fists, and they're the ultimate zealots and the ultimate xenophobes, and they also worship the Emperor as a god. They're the only Space Marine chapter to do that. If I'm wrong in that instance, please let me know in the comments below. It would be very helpful. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're the only Space Marine chapter to actually worship the Emperor as a god. Their home is a fleet. They are fleet based. They're constantly on crusade and have been since the end of the Horus Heresy and since Guilliman introduced the Codex Astartes. Their leader is High Marshal Halbert. The specialties: zealotry. Can zealotry even be a specialty? Well, it is. Melee combat and overwhelming assaults. And famous battles: the third battle for Armageddon. Never heard of that myself. The third war for Armageddon I've heard of. You don't really have battles for Armageddon, you have wars, because it's a planet. You don't just have a battle across the surface of a planet. It's numerous battles happening all at once. But yeah, I assume they mean the third war for Armageddon. And then the Siege of Cadia as well they were at. They're one of the Space Marine chapters that differ somewhat from the Codex Astartes. They number in the thousands, the multiple thousands. And a Space Marine chapter is supposed to be no more than 1,000 Marines. That's so no one man, one commander could basically try and overthrow the Imperium in the same way that Horus tried to overthrow the Emperor during the Horus Heresy. And that's why the Space Marine legions were split into smaller chapters. There are things that sort of go against the grain with that, like Rogel Dorn, the Primarch of the Black Templars and the Imperial Fists and any Imperial Fist successors. He set up this protocol called the Last Wall Protocol, where if Terra was under threat from a massive force of some kind, in this case it was the Last Wall Protocol was enacted during the War of the Beast, I think it was called, in Millennia 32. If Terra was under threat, anyway, a great threat, then the Imperial Fist successors would all unite under one banner and rally to the cause and thwart the threat that faced Terra. And yeah, so kind of, although they're all separate chapters now, and they had separate chapters within the legions prior to the heresy. But yeah, although they're all separate chapters now, they're supposed to be completely separate organisations. There's numerous occasions when the parent chapter calls out to the successor chapters, and the successors come and unite as one force. The Blood Angels did it on Baal as well, when facing off against Tyranid threats and stuff like that. It's happened a few times, but it's rare, and they don't actually fully hold sway over their successor chapters, but they can obviously petition them for aid and stuff like that. Yeah, but more on the Black Templars. Their iconography is different. They show the chapters a symbol on both shoulder pads. The squads are marked out by different colours on the shoulder pad trim and stuff like that. And they abhor the witch, so they hate all things Psyker. It says here, I'll just read the whole black box here. One of the great mysteries surrounding the Black Templars is their lack of librarians. Some say that the Black Templars still obey the Emperor's ancient edict of Nicaea, which outlawed Space Marine Legions, librarians divisions. Others say that the Black Templars librarians were slain in a great war. Though they have no librarians, the Black Templars still have great respect for navigators and revere astropaths, believing that these psychers have actually communed with the Emperor. So astropaths are the ones that navigate the warp and guide ships through warp space, and they do that by seeking out the Astronomicon, the light of the Emperor. And once you've got that locked in, it's like the North Star, and using the stars to navigate ancient mariners on Earth doing that. It's a similar sort of thing, but it's very different as well. It's very chaotic and confusing to someone untrained. We're talking about a hypothetical situation here, but I'm using terms that you'd hopefully understand. But yeah, so it's akin to like navigating with the stars, but not really. Basically, is what I'm getting at there. But because they look at the light of the Astronomicon and they're guided by the light of the Astronomicon, that's why the Black Templars revere them as having communed with the Emperor. So on to the next page, we've got Forces of Nurgle, Renegades of Nurgle. So not all Nurgle worshippers are Plague Marines. There are very few Plague Marines, actual Plague Marines, and massive forces that deploy Plague Marines. There's only 2 listed here. It's just the Death Guard and the Black Legion. Now, the Black Legion, I don't have the current edition Chaos Codex, or any Chaos Codex come to that. Yeah, so maybe you can tell me in the comments below, can the Black Legion in 8th edition actually take Plague Marines? Because I don't think they can, but maybe you'll correct me in the comments below, like I said, to tell me whether they actually can. But yeah, not all Nurgle worshippers have Plague Marines, and these Nurgle worshippers are given gifts of Nurgle, but they're not actually as tough as Plague Marines, they're not as durable as Plague Marines. But just touching on a few of the Renegade Space Marine chapters, and warbands I guess you'd say rather than chapters. There's the Cleaved. The Cleaved first appeared during the insurrection of Magma Cordelium. Amongst the fury of an Astromilitarum counterstrike, the rebels conjured reinforcements, not demons of the Immaterium, but Chaos Space Marines with oil-like blood oozing from their joints in their armour. So yeah, they conjured a load of Chaos Space Marines. Like normally you'd expect if there's a conjuring ritual happening, you'd expect it to be demons that pour through a portal into real space, but in this case it was weird, corrupted Chaos Space Marines. And then touching on the Purge as well. The Purge loathe life in all its forms. How dastardly that is. They have waged their pitiless war against mankind and alien alike since late millennia 36, consumed by their self-imposed quest to exterminate all living creatures. It's just like, a narrative like that is too oversimplistic for me. It's like, I must wipe out all life. It's just like, it's a bit cartoony, that kind of narrative. But you see that, you know, the lore of the 40k universe is so vast that I think there's that many different forces involved and stuff. You're going to wind up with some forces like that just want to wipe out all life. Oh, moustache twirling villains and stuff. But there is a rich, deep lore other than just that. You know, the person that come up with this renegade force here could be watching this video, and you know, I don't mean to mock that lore. It just seems overly simplified for me. It's not to my taste, but it could easily be to someone else's taste. They're not likely to be watching this video because who watches Big Mac Dance Scum? On to the next page, we've got the Annals of the Space Wolves. This is a load of tripe, this, over the next 2 pages. A load of tripe about, the Space Wolves are the greatest of the Emperor's servants, the most loyalist, yay! What a load of rubbish. It's a load of propaganda and spin from like the Battle of Prospero and stuff like that. And the Second Founding and the Primarchs Depart, First Great Hunt, Incarceration, so on and so forth, all the way up until the 41st millennium with the Saga of the Waning. But yeah, just touching on some of them. The Lion and the Wolf, first of all. Space Wolves and Dark Angels meet for the first time during the Great Crusade, and upon the world of Doolan, the two chapters come to blows. Lyman Russ and the Dark Angels Primarch, Lionel Johnson, engage in a mighty duel, the first in a long, bitter feud between the two warlords. I'm not going to touch on Prospero, because I've spoken about that plenty of times before. The First Great Hunt, no, I don't fancy that one. Incarceration is about Bjorn falling in battle and being incarcerated, being interned into a dreadnought sarcophagus, and then he has to step down from leadership. He was the Great Wolf at the time because the Primarch had already disappeared. He'd just gone off wandering somewhere like a dog that gets out and just goes for a wander around town and can't find its way back. The Second Founding, oh yeah, there was a Second Founding as well, which is interesting. The Space Wolves don't have any successors, technically. They don't have any successors in existence, because the Second Founding, they did split the Legion. However, it was an ill-fated founding, and let me just read this to you. The Space Marine Legions are broken down into chapters in accordance with the Codex Astartes. Largely ignoring the treaties, Russ retains much of his Legion's strength, dividing it only to create the ill-fated Wolf Brothers chapter. And I think they succumbed to all kinds of gene mutation and stuff like that, and the gene seed was completely corrupt. And despite that, they're still accepted as loyalist, non-heretical, and then we see things like the Wolfen throughout their history, re-emerging from the warp, the 13th Great Company, all coming back as these werewolf-like creatures, and they're still not seen as heretics and going against the grain. And despite the refusal to split the Legion into much smaller chapters, 1,000-strong Marines, despite that refusal, they're still not seen as heretics, and it's just becomes ridiculous. And the whole the Imperium deciding to you're okay, but you're not okay. It's just a decision maker that just makes a decision like that can affect an entire chapter and the history of the Imperium. I'm not bitter or anything. But on to the next page, Craftworlds. So this is Eldari Craftworlds. The location is galaxy-wide. Number of Craftworlds unknown, estimated at hundreds. Now, I'd never thought there were hundreds of Craftworlds, but there are some massive ones. The biggest ones, there's like 6 big ones, and it'll tell me on the next couple of pages. And then there must be like at least 90 others, and 94 others if there's hundreds. But yeah, hundreds, I guess at least 194 others. Specialists, speed and agility, advanced technology, psychic warfare, greatest foes, Slanesh, the Dark Gods, the Necrons. On to the next page, it gives us a bit more information about specific Craftworlds here. Craftworld Baal-Tan, the greatest of the Craftworlds, and the most fractured, unfortunately. The Eldari of Baal-Tan are the most aggressive of the Craftworlds. Though their worldship was shattered by the forces of the Dark Gods, they continue their campaign of vengeance against the galaxy's lesser races. Ulthwé are known as the Damned as well. They have a load of powerful Psykers, Eldrad Ulthuan being foremost amongst them, although he's kind of gone off with the Inari, as far as I remember, unless something else has happened in the lore since. And then there's Craftworld Yanden. They have loads of ghost warriors. There was a massive Tyranid invasion of Yanden, and they fought wars against the Tyranids, and they have to use the Spirit Stones. Each Eldar model has a Spirit Stone on it. and that takes the soul of the Spirit Stone. So takes the soul of the warrior when the warrior falls. So Slaanesh can't consume that soul and feed off of it. And then that Spirit Stone can be taken and placed into a Wraithbone construct. Wraithbone is a material that the Eldar use. It's a psychically manipulatable material that the Eldar use in order to produce all kinds of things, their vehicles, their buildings, and these constructs are basically warriors that just need a Spirit Stone placed onto them, and then they can become activated. And it's basically like the soul of the departed operating that as a kind of a suit of armour. So Yanden had massive wars with the Tyranids, lost a load of warriors, so they rely now heavily on the Wraith Guard, the Wraith Knights, and the Wraith Lords, in order to, and various Wraith constructs other than those, in order to try and stave off annihilation. And then there's Craftworld Eldar, the Wild Host. They are the White Scars of the Eldar, if you like. They're very much about fast attacks, jet bikes, Vipers, all the tanks and the various aircraft that they can deploy. Craftworld Eldar, they are like scout specialists, the Star Striders. They've got more Rangers and Pathfinders than any other Craftworld. And then there's a few slightly smaller ones here as well. Mymera, Altenstar, and Yggdrasil. Mymera, they were in a Forge World book. They feature heavily in a Forge World book. And Mymera is cut off from the rest of the Eldari race for thousands of years, alone and vastly outnumbered by their foes. Altenstar was once thought lost during the fall. The world ship was rediscovered at the close of the 41st millennium. Yggdrasil is a matriarchal society and fields more female warriors than any other Craftworld. They have long been associated with the goddess Morai Heg. And there's a showcase on the next page. It's some lovely miniatures there. We've got Karandras, the Phoenix Lord of the Striking Scorpions. Warp Spider Exarch there. Interestingly, the Warp Spiders have no known Phoenix Lord. Ulthwave Farseer, and then Illic Knight Spear of Alitop fame. He is like the foremost amongst the Rangers and Pathfinders. And then he's the closest thing they have to a Phoenix Lord, or closest thing they have to an Exarch. And then the Howling Banshee Exarch there as well. That's the old model now, Howling Banshees. That's one of the old resin models. They've got new plastic models that have recently come out, so check GW's website for them if you want to see the new poses and stuff. Then we've got a Wraith Host, and also vehicles as well, of the Simhan Craftworld displayed below that. Onto the next page, we've got some Yanden Wraith Host there, and then some Aspect Warriors below that, and then more colour schemes of the Craftworlds below that. On to how to build the Icon Bearer. We get 2 pages, nice and easy, not too many parts, should go together pretty easily, it looks like it does here. And then on to how to paint, we get 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of how to paint. That's what I like, a nice short how to paint section. Is it 4 pages if I turn 2 pages together? Yeah, it's only 4 pages. A nice short how to paint section, I really like that. And you get a lovely result at the end. Like I said, I always prefer the Death Guard colour schemes for some reason in these magazines. I'm going to pause it there for now. I'm back! I had to stop my bath from running there and overflowing. So, on to the mission briefing. Open the warp portal. We get this new Icon of it's an Icon of Despair model. A Icon Bearer model, holding an Icon of Despair for the Death Guard in this. And how are we going to use that in a mission? Well, I'm going to tell you now. The whole idea is there's a Death Guard summoning circle, and there's a Malignant Plague caster trying to cast a spell using the Icon of Despair to boost his powers and to call forth demonic reinforcements to the planet. And you can see from the map behind me, you can see they've chosen one of the maps for us to use in the centre, and then we can place the other 2 either side depending on who wins a roll off, basically. The armies get a maximum power rating of 30, and the Death Guard must include 1 Malignant Plague caster and 1 unit of 7 Plague Marines with an Icon of Despair. So we've got 2 units of 7 Plague Marines now, assuming we've got all of the Dark Imperium sprues, which I'm pretty sure we have now. Someone's going to correct me in the comments, I know, if I'm wrong. but I'm pretty sure we've got all the Dark Imperium sprues now. I'm waiting to be corrected. Come on. Okay, I'll move on. Yeah, we've got 14, or we will, by the end of the collection, have 14 Plague Marines. Because we've got the Icon of Despair, we've got 2 easy to build boxes, and we've got 7 from the Dark Imperium box. So that is 14, that's 2 squads of 7, and what's 7? Well, it's Nurgle's number, of course, which is handy. And yeah, so you can take 14 Plague Marines in this if you wanted to. One of them has to have an Icon of Despair, the guy we get with this magazine. Excellent. Moving on, the Space Marines must take a Primaris Librarian. Deployment, the Death Guard deploy the Plague Marines and the Malignant Plague Caster inside the summoning circle. The rest of the Death Guard units move onto the board at the start of their movement phase. You can see there's a Death Guard enter here at either end of the central battle mat that's placed. There's a 6-inch circle in the middle of that battle mat where that's the summoning circle. And then the Space Marine player deploys their units in the deployment zones at either end of the battlefield, and the Space Marine player takes the first turn. For the Death Guard player to win, the Plague Marine with the Icon of Despair must be within the summoning circle at the end of the game. If the Plague Marine with the Icon of Despair is eliminated or ends the game outside of the summoning circle, I don't know why you'd move him outside of the summoning circle like in the last turn as the Death Guard player, so that's unlikely to happen. The Space Marine player wins a game in that case. The game lasts 5 battle rounds. You set up your terrain on the other battle mats as described in tutorial 21 as well. We get another data sheet for Plague Marines here, though we've had one before. I'm not sure if we've had one with the Icon of Despair listed. And all the Icon of Despair does in wider games is units that are within 6 inches of an enemy unit with an Icon of Despair must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic. So it makes your opponent's leadership lower when they're close to that unit. And it's not that particular icon either, it's the whole unit. So even if I've got 6 Plague Marines closer to your unit, the closest Plague Marine is the only one that has to be within 6 inches of that unit in order to negate -1 from your leadership. And that can come in handy when basically when you're making morale checks and there's an increased risk of model running off the board and deserting that unit because they're scared, basically. Although that doesn't really happen much with Space Marines, because I think they get to re-roll morale checks, don't they? Because of "and they shall know no fear." I can't remember that rule exactly, but I'm sure I'll tell you what it is in the next issue when we're getting 5 Sniper Scouts. So the Sniper Scouts kit is, I think, 1750 again, so it's another decent saving next week. And then, what are we getting in issue 68? Well, we're getting some more terrain. It is the Hemotrope Reactor, the second one that we've been missing from the kit. Comes with 2, and we've only had 1 so far. So yeah, it's a Hemotrope Reactor. Excellent stuff. Another lovely line of sight blocking piece of terrain. And then further down the road, we're going to be expecting a bit more terrain. We're going to be expecting a repulsor tank, and what else? Some spawn and stuff like that. Oh, the summoning must go well, I'd say, for the Death Guard if we're getting some demonic spawn in the future issues. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the Hobby Corner, and I'll see you on the battlefield.